On the Sports Media Podcast today is Shannon Bentley. Excited to have her on. Shannon, thanks so much for being a part of this.
Thanks, Brian. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thrilled to have you on. And one of the things that I really love about your story, as we get into that, we get into your story and obviously what you're doing right now with OBS, is your background. And I would love to start there because being one that has spent time at MIT, that's not something you hear every day, which is fascinating, and what a resource you have to be for OBS. And so, how does that background at MIT positively impact the role that you're working on now and what you do?
Well, taking a course at MIT was really a dream for me. I actually visited there when I was back in the day when I was a technology reporter for Discovery Channel in Canada. I'm a bit of a tech geek, I will have to tell you. And I was just fascinated by the work that was going on there. It was just so incredible. So I have to say that taking a course at MIT, especially AI, was just absolutely a dream.
How do you feel like the industry, with what you learned there, is going to be more and more like that as we move forward?
Well, yeah, I learned a lot from the course, obviously. It gave me a glimpse into not only where we're headed with AI in terms of business, but it also gave me the opportunity to be a little bit introspective and get a closer look at where we can be using AI in broadcast. So it kind of opened my mind that way a little bit. It also gave me a little bit of awareness of some of the factors that need to be considered before you implement or use AI. So that was a little eye opening as well.
What would be eye-opening if I asked you what all goes into preparing for the Olympics?
Well, most people, when I tell them I work for the Olympics, are like, "Oh, cool, you work for the Olympics. So what do you do the other 3 years?"
Oh,
But no, I actually do work all year round, every year, despite what my friends and family think. um, we always seem to have a games just around the corner. We do not only the Summer Olympics, we do Winter Olympics, and we do Youth Olympics as well. So a lot of people don't know that. Um, it's arguably the largest, most complex sporting broadcast that there is in the world. So, yeah, we had in Paris, we had 32 different sports with 48 disciplines. There were 35 competition venues over 3 weeks and thousands of hours of live coverage. So a lot of people say, "Oh, but the FIFA World Cup is huge. It's massive." Maybe, but it's just one sport. So there is a little bit of a difference. And I like to tell people it's a giant 100,000 piece puzzle to try to put together. There's a lot of coordination, a lot of organizing. And on top of that, we have extra projects like, for example, the broadcast training program, which is a legacy program where we go into the local city, the host city, and actually train film and television students to be our assistants, our camera and audio assistants in the field during the game. So that's a pretty cool project to be a part of. And we're always trying to innovate. So that's also another area where my MIT course comes in handy. And I do love that about OBS, is the fact that they're always looking to innovate, always looking to improve, and but that takes a lot of extra time and work.
it certainly has to take a lot of extra time and work with getting a snapshot of what you are doing yourself during the Olympics. With all of the moving pieces that you were talking about logistically and all the people that are involved, what's it like being you during the games?
During the games, it's incredibly busy. So what I do is, and Mom, I hope you're listening because sometimes it's hard to explain. I'm basically in the master control room, and I'm in charge of about 200 people that are there working to get the feeds out to the rights holders. So we're in a master control room and we organize, we have scheduled in advance some jam-packed limited number of channels because what happens is at the games there's so many feeds coming in that most rights holders don't have the ability to handle all those feeds. It's just way too much. So what we do is we organize into, for example, in Paris, 16 channels, and we schedule around all the sports into a jam-packed schedule on these 16 channels. And all the producers that work there, the graphics operators, the audio operators, commentators, everybody comes together and makes sure that those particular sessions make it to air on those channels. And it's constantly a battle because, as you know, live sports aren't predictable. So they often end early or they go long. And so then there's the whole challenge of shuffling those sessions on different channels, making sure they don't run into the next sport. And then filling, we have some turnkey channels as well that rights holders use often for streaming, or even they can put them right to air. And so those channels have to have filler material put in between the sports and things like that. So there's a lot happening to get those channels to air. And there's 16 of them all simultaneously airing from about not guaranteed 9 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. So it's busy. It often overruns that. We're often there till, with Paris, we were there till 4 in the morning because of surfing. So it can be a long day, and it's adrenaline packed, that's for sure.
I'm imagining that while you're thinking about all these events and the different times that they finish and they start, that you're constantly having to, even if you don't need to, constantly thinking ahead as if the what could
Absolutely.
be. So, what is that like being in your headspace and thinking like that?
Yeah, you really have to know your sports because things like, for example, coming up for the Winter Games, curling, a game can just suddenly end because a team could decide, oh, we concede. So you really have to be watching every single sport, every single channel, and you have to know your sport. Because if you didn't know that, you were thinking it was going to 10 ends, you'd be like, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to it for a while. But no, you have to know your sports, know the rules, know how long certain parts of the sport take so you can predict and look ahead. So there's a lot of background knowledge to have as well.
Along the lines of looking ahead, Los
Hmm.
Angeles is coming up soon.
I'm so looking forward to it.
I live in LA. You're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. What are people looking forward to when they think about what's in store for them and what you're doing?
Oh, gee, that's a good question. I know it's going to be very special for me. I can speak for myself, and I know that even though I'm a Canadian, it will feel like the games are coming home for me, home to North America, because the games have been in Asia and Europe for so long. I think, what was it, almost 30 years ago now that the Summer Games were in North America, Atlanta in 1996, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, so it's been a long, long time. Vancouver 2010 was probably the last time it was the games, winter or summer, were in North America, but that's 15 years ago. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be so exciting. And I have to admit, I have a little bit of a special affinity for LA and the LA area because before I moved to Europe, I would actually spend my winters in a little town just north of LA every winter to escape the cold, harsh Canadian winters and just to get some cycling in.
Cycling. So this is a big thing. How much has this been a part of your life? I did not know this.
Oh, I'm a weekend warrior myself. So
So
I love sport. I love all sport. I participate in a handful of sports. I've done Ironman. I participated in the World Triathlon Masters Championships. I've raced cars. I've raced bicycles. Yeah, I just love sport. It's one of my passions. So obviously, the job that I'm in is perfect for me. TV and sports, you couldn't get any better than that.
How young were you when you said to yourself, this is the dream and I want to see this through?
Mm. I think I've always been a huge film and television fanatic and sports fanatic. I think my first job out of university was as a gopher, a script runner. I worked for the Sports Network, which is the ESPN of Canada. And it's actually owned by ESPN. I worked there as a complete newbie. I actually didn't work there. I volunteered there. I should rephrase that. I interned for about 6 months. And the reason I stayed for 6 months is because I loved it so much. I just loved being a part of that adrenaline rush, whether it's in the master control room, whether it's on the field of play as an athlete, or whether it's on the stage. It's just, there's nothing like it.
When you're getting an adrenaline rush from all of the different athletic endeavors that you personally take part in, how does that help you in knowing how to best cover the athletes
Mm.
Olympically, on the Olympic side of things when the games are present?
I think it definitely helps, especially the sports that I'm very intimate with. It helps knowing what the stories are and what can be going through the athletes' minds because you've been there.
Yeah.
So it really gives you a sense of, um, what the athlete is struggling with, or satisfied with, or thinking, or what their next move could be. So it helps draw out those stories. Obviously, you're not going to be 100% correct, but it just gives you a little bit more insight than maybe someone that hasn't participated in that sport. Um, so I think it just helps you out a little bit by giving you some insight.
Getting inside into these athletes, what are you most inspired about with their
Mm,
stories and being able to cover them?
that's a good question. They are so inspiring. I would probably say for me, it's not about the Usain Bolts or the Michael Phelps of the games. And that's not to take anything away from their accomplishments because obviously they're incredible. But I personally draw my inspiration from the underdogs. So who doesn't love an underdog, right? um, the athletes that maybe don't have the funding or the support that other athletes have, and they're there anyway. They've overcome so much, and these athletes are pushing boundaries beyond expectations. And they're incredible. They don't even need to win sometimes, some of these athletes, um, to see what the Olympics means to them. It's just about being there, you know? And that's what inspires me most.
When you're being there, and let's say the broadcast is about to start, you talk
Mhm.
about the adrenaline rush you get from all the different athletic endeavors we talked about. How does that compare to the adrenaline rush you get when the
Mm.
final countdown is on and it is game on here for broadcasts?
Yeah, it's very similar. It is very similar. Um, but I think it depends on what sport you're talking about. I've played a lot of ice hockey too, so it's a team sport, and I would compare it more to a team sport. Being in the master control room when we're about to go live, and it's not about a personal accomplishment or a personal pressure. It's more about taking pride in teamwork and being ready and being prepared. And of course, you're always trying to push your limits and push boundaries and take some risks. But I think being in the control room is definitely about teamwork and being with a team. And the successes are also, I can't do it myself, obviously. I'm one of, during games time, I'm one of 200, more than 200 people in an area that are working to get this done. So, and I rely on those people, their expertise. They're the ones that make it happen. So, if everything goes smoothly, I've done my job preparing. But yeah, I think it is a rush, obviously, but it's more about the team.
Well, Shannon, as you wrap up this conversation, I think it's very clear that you work every year, not just one out of 4 years or one out of every 2 years, depending upon the winter and the summer games. Shannon Bentley, I'm Bryan Fenley. Shannon, thanks so much for the introspection, giving us a glimmer and look into the life you live and all the excitement around it.
Thanks so much, Brian. Appreciate it.